In this lesson, we're going to start and learn how we can create animation files based off of our character sprite sheet. Now, after this lesson, we're going to have all of our characters' animations created into individual files and applied to our character so we can carry on with the course, and then we can call upon those animations based off of our character's state. So this is going to be awesome, and once you actually have your first animation working in your game, you're going to be so stoked, I guarantee it. So let's just get right on into it, and let's create this character's idle. First things first, of course we always want to organize our scene, and as we're starting a whole new side of things, let's create a folder for this. Let's go create folder, and let's say animation, and I seem to just animation files. I cannot type when I'm doing these somehow. Let's open this beast up, and then it's empty now, but by the end of this lesson we're going to be full. Let's go first things first. Let's go to our WrapTuck character, and you know what I'm just noticing here? All of these game objects for our animations that we set up in the last lesson, I forgot to actually put them in our dynamic environment hierarchy here. So let's just do that, clean up our scene. Sorry about that. I should have known this, but now let's go back into our character and let's click on our Sprite player. Now remember, we created this purely for animation controls, right? So let's just go ahead and actually utilize this. Now you may notice in my user interface I have this new window called animation. Now you might not have that right away, and all you need to do is go to Window, Animation, or just hit Command 6 if you're on a Mac, Control 6, I'm sure that's what it is on a Windows, and it'll open up this window. And you can drag and drop these windows, configure your interface any way you want. I'm just going to keep mine in the bottom corner here, and I seem to have detached it. But if I want to put it back, I just have to drag it back on. So you can set up however you want. For this lesson, I'm going to keep it just like this for now. And what does this window do? This is where we can control and add all the keyframes and select animation clips for whatever object we have selected in here. So if we go to our game state, camera track system, since none of these have animations, you don't notice it yet, but we're going to create one for this guy, and then we can click around, you'll see it'll change. It's really just reading all the animation files that's applied to the selected object. So let's go ahead and create our first animation, which is our idle. So let's go ahead and say create new clip. It's going to open up. Where are we going to save this? We want to go to our assets, and we want to go to our animation files. Look at this, it had it for us already. So let's just go, I'm going to put all of WrapTucks animations in the same naming convention, so they should categorize themselves nice and neat in this folder. So I'm going to go WT underscore, I'm going to say idle for the first animation here. Save it out. Oh, look at this. We have our WrapTuck idle and our WrapTuck sprite player. This is our animation animator component that's now applied to this object since we have an animation file with him. So now watch this. We're going to click on here, we have WrapTuck idle, and we click on something else, it's gone. It's not reading any animation files on here. One thing to note is as it also created an animator component, watch this. When we click on our WrapTuck sprite, we now have this animator component. WrapTuck sprite player, WrapTuck sprite player. And what this is it is going to store all our logic and all our animation files attached to this object in the mechanism system right here. We're going to start digging into this, and this is how we can read and set up conditions and states for our player to transition between animations. We're going to get all into that in the next few lessons here, so you're going to be very familiar with this. But for now, I just wanted to show you, whenever you create a new animation clip, it's going to add that animator component to that object, and then you're going to be able to use the logic within mechanism in the animator window here. Very good thing to know, just had to show you that quickly. So now, let's go on and start building this idle here. Let's go back to our scene view, WrapTuck sprite player, and WrapTuck idle. So now, in this window, first thing I want to do is quickly, you see the samples here that's currently set to 60? This is pretty much frames per second. We definitely do not need 60 frames a second. So I'm just going to lower this right off the bat here. I'm just going to say 4. Let's just test this out right together. So 4 samples a second, as there's only 2 frames this animation. Let's just see what this gives us. And what is this idle going to be? Well, let's open up our, what am I looking for? Our game art, our character, and our character sprite sheet. So for this idle, what frames do I want to use here? I want him honestly, I just want him to be in his default position, and then every couple seconds I just want him to blink. And then that blink is going to just add some dynamic to our character. So to add a frame to this animation, for a sprite-based animation, I'm going to drag this first frame into our animation, our idle clip. Just drag it right on in, and you'll see it creates this keyframe on frame 0. And there we have it. We have his first pose. You can see our frame right there. So now I want to add that blink in here. I'm going to drag this blink just out in the distance here, and I'm going to click on this diamond for our frame. I'm just going to move it. Let's go out, let's zoom out a bit, and let's just drag this up to frame 12. I don't know why, 4, 8, 12, right? And let's zoom out, 12. Let's just see what this looks like. So now when I hit play on here, watch our character, not blinking. Oh, he just blinks. And just like so. And that's what we have. We now have WrapTuck with his idle animation clip created and applied to him. So now I'm going to take it out of record mode, because whenever you make an adjustment to here, it's going to be in record mode and kind of record whatever you're doing, so it'll save that to the animation. Now, before we actually start creating any more animation files, I just want to get you familiar with a few little things beforehand. So click on your sprite character and click on your animator window. And you see we now have this clip. As we saw previously, when we created this clip, it's going to create a little node here. And with these nodes, you can make transitions to all the other animations based off of parameters that we can customly create. But I'm just going to escape, cancel that. What I wanted to show you is if you want to make any adjustments to this animation clip, you can click on it here, or actually I'm going to double click on it. And the only thing that we're going to be really changing is our loop. When this is checked, it's going to play continuously through this and just keep looping as long as this animation is conditionally set to play. So I want this one to be looping. So that's perfect. That's all I wanted to show you here. Some animations we don't want to loop and some we do. So all I have to do is double click, uncheck, and check. And that's all we need to know here. And also, if we had a ton of different animation nodes in here, say this was one and we had another one over here, we have to tell Unity which animation clip to play as default. We could have all the runs, the jumps, and if the jump was set to default, your player would just start the game jumping. We don't want that. So one thing to note is if you right-click this node, we can say set as default. We always want to check that. It's not giving us the option right now because we only have this clip, but that's just something to keep in mind because you'll want to do that in some cases, and we're going to see that in the future. Let's go back to our scene. That's all I really wanted to show you here. This lesson's focused on creating the clip, so let's get back to that. So what other animations do we want for this? Well, let's carry on, and let's start by doing a fun one. Let's create a new clip. When he's searching through the VOS there, let's go WrapTuck search. I want to save this in the animation files. WrapTuck idle, WrapTuck search, make sure. Okay, and searching is gonna be search 1. I forgot to do that. Let's go 4. And search 2. Just see what this is giving us. It's a little fast. Let's set this back to 3. Let's go to 2. I'm liking that so far. And as you can see, I'm getting this little white thing here showing that's just an overlapping in the sprite. And I am actually going to go in after this lesson and update the resource file there, because I don't want you guys to have to worry about that. That's my fault. So I'm going to stop this for now. We have our search animation set up. That's looking great. Let's create a new clip. What's next? We want to, it's defaulting to this folder. I don't like that. We want to create our duck. WrapTuck duck. Okay, and now simple as this. This is going to be very easy here. Let's go duck. All we need to do, just go 1. And just loop this pose, because we're going to be controlling this animation by when we're holding down the key, we're going to be ducking the whole time. So it's just going to loop through that animation and keep that pose. That's all we need there. Let's take that out of record mode. Let's go to create a new clip. Pretty easy stuff here, hey? Let's go throw. WrapTuck throw. What am I doing? Going against my own names here. WrapTuck throw. And perfect. So now let's drag in our throwing animation here. I want him to start there. Let's go 4 frames. And I want him to throw that thing. So let's go, let's just see what this looks like. It's pretty funny. Let's make it a little bit slower here. There you go. Throwing. Alright, I'm happy with that. Carry on then. Let's go to our hurt, and I believe that'll be the last one here. So let's create one more clip. And let's pop this guy in our animation files, WrapTuck, hurt. Alright, this is going to be the exact same as our duck here, so I don't need to really worry about anything other than just dragging in that frame. So let's go, just set it to 1, and hit play. Bzz, bzz. Okay, looks cool. There we go, he's hurt now. And now, those are all the animations that are going to be set up that way. There's going to be something unique with our walking and our jumping. Our walking animation is going to be pretty much standard actually. It's just going to play back based off his velocity. So let's quickly set, you'll see what I mean in just a sec. I'm sorry if that didn't make full sense off the bat, but let's go WrapTuck walk. Let's create this clip here. And we have our walk. So I'm going to actually skip frame 1 because that's his default pose. I'm going to go right to frame 2, drag this guy in. I'm going to go 4 frames as well. So frame 2 we started at, and then frame 3, let's just drag this in here, and frame 4. And then he's going to go back to his mid step, frame 3, and then he'll loop back to the beginning after that, and it should be looking pretty good. So let's zoom in and see what we're getting. They're all in their own frames. Let's hit play. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that walk. I think that's pretty awesome, actually. And I think that's fast enough for me. So now, the reason why I said this walk is going to be set up differently is because what we're going to have is we're going to have a blend tree that's going to say when our character is not moving, we are going to have him stay in his default. But when his velocity picks up past 0, play the walking animation. And when his velocity in the x-axis is back to 0, go back to the default. But for our jump, it's going to be a little bit different because what we're going to have is we're going to have a bunch of different velocity and speeds as he flies up in the air. So when he's cruising at his fastest speed, we want to have this position as he just takes off. And then when he's going up and he's still going pretty fast, I want it to be staying on this frame. And as he starts coming downwards and his speed starts slowing down again as he's traveling down, I want it to be stuck on this frame until he lands. So we can't just do that by calling back the frames because we have to time out every jump perfectly to the animation. That's just not going to happen. So what if he's jumping off of something up high, right? It's going to change every single jump. So we're going to be making a script how we can do it based off his velocity. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to set up an animation file for each frame individually to hold as his velocity is up. So I'm going to go, or as his velocity is changing, sorry. So I'm going to go WrapTuck. WrapTuck, I'm going to say jump F1. I'm going to just copy. Can I? Yep. Copy this and save this. I'm going to just go back to 1 frame. We don't need much there. So jump frame 1. This is going to also be set to looping. Perfect. I'm happy with that. We just need the 1 frame. Let's create a new clip quickly here. Animation files. WrapTuck frame 2. Awesome. Let's drag it in. And of course, set our samples back. Oops. 1. Cool. And let's go create 1 more clip. New clip. And let's go to our animation files. WrapTuck F3. Alrighty. Looking good. So let's go to jump F3. And let's set this once again to 1. There is all our animation files created. Right now it doesn't make a whole lot of sense how it's all going to work yet, but let's go to our animator window. We are looking good. One thing I wanted to do is our throw. Do not want that to loop. And our search, I do not want that to loop either. And what else do we have? Our walk, I want it to loop. That's it for all the clips we need to create for our character. So let's go back to our game view here, hit play, and as we can see, as we defaulted, our character should be blinking. Oh, I walked in front of these things. There you go, see? He's idling. He's blinking. Now we're gonna have to do some layer organization. I don't like how that is, but you guys know how to do that as well. So There it is. Our character is coming alive slowly but surely. In the next lesson, what we're going to be doing is we're going to take all these animation files and we're going to start by seeing how we can create our first blend tree to make our character walk based off the speed he is actually moving in our game. We will see not only how we can set up this in our animation window, but we're going to see how we can write a script to tell Unity when to play this animation back for us. So with that said, I'll see you in the next lesson.